I'm Katie.
Hi, I'm Camilla.
And welcome to You're Gonna Be Fine, the self-development podcast with a chatty twist.
Please know that we are not professionals, just regular girls sharing from our own journeys to hopefully educate, motivate, and inspire you on yours.
So if you're dealing with something serious, please speak to a professional because at the end of the day, they are the experts, not us.
If you are enjoying the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with someone who you think would enjoy it.
It helps us more than you know to reach more gorgeous people just like you.
With that being said, enjoy the episode and remember, whatever it is,
you're going to be fine. Hi everyone and welcome back to your favourite podcast, You're Gonna Be Fine. Today we are talking about fucking hell, no Camilla, that was real. No, that was real. No, that was real. Oh my God, guys, I have tried to do this 30 fucking times and that sounds like a joke, but that was real. I can't get this title out of my mouth.
Right.
Things turning 30 taught us.
Great.
Hallelujah. I keep going to say 30 things that turning 30 taught us, but as I've said a million times, it would take us all day to film that episode. So it is just things that turning 30 taught us, but it's such a mouthful. Anyway, we're here. God, what a bumpy start. Right. I need to go into the Oh Fuck of the Week. I'm dying to tell this story because it's something that has really affected me mentally. It made me question myself so much.
I'm so excited because I feel like you've not told me on purpose.
I seriously, yeah, I've kept it to myself. Exactly,
real.
Yeah. So essentially, right, so just for context, right now we're filming this. Well, by the time this episode comes out, it'll be about a month after the fact.
Yeah.
So these dates might be a bit skewed, but this is what happened. So Naomi and Millie said to me in the middle of May, oh, let's go to Paris for the weekend, like really spontaneous. And I was just like, oh, great. And there was no specification really. It was just like this Sunday, on Sunday.
Yeah.
And my mind, for some reason, just assumed they were talking about June because like I could not wrap my head around the fact that it would be in a matter of days.
Yeah.
So I was like speaking to James and I was like, oh, by the way, I'm going to Paris at the end of June. And so he was like, yeah, cool, like sort out. I was looking at flights, whatever. Thankfully didn't book it. In the middle of May, so maybe like 10 days after they'd arranged this, we were just talking in the group chat. And it was during that period of time, you know, when we did the episode on Overwhelm.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I was just so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like I just was so busy and obviously just wasn't thinking clearly. And on the Thursday, I sent a message in the group saying, oh, really excited. I can come now Thursday to Sunday rather than Friday to Sunday. And Millie put, you mean today? ? Thursday as in today? ? And I was like, what? And she was like, we're in Paris now.
No. Oh my God, but you were thinking it was a spontaneous trip when it was actually, it's still months. So it was actually really
imminent.
Fucking
it was
spontaneous.
Imminent. And I was like,
So were they
honestly,
posting on their stories that they were in Paris though?
No, they hadn't posted anything yet because they just got there. So I was sat at home and they were in Paris waiting for me.
You.
And I hadn't really replied in the group chat because of Overwhelm, as we've discussed.
And also, you weren't packing your bags for a month's time in your
Exactly.
mind.
So I hadn't even booked the flight.
Oh.
So honestly, it tripped me out so much because I was so convinced that it was at the end of June that it actually freaked me out.
Yeah.
So I was like scrolling in the group chat frantically like, no, it is June. And they were like, well, it's not because we're here now. And I was just like, what? Honestly, my head was like bent. And so I was like frantically then like trying to find a flight and stuff, but it was just like mega expensive.
Yeah.
And then like for the time that I was actually there for what it just didn't work out. But I was so gutted, but it was hilarious.
That is so funny. And I'm actually like, that is just, I do feel like that is a youism though.
Yeah.
Like 100%.
But that's the worst youism I've ever,
that's
quite severe.
But you know what's funny? I remember them talking about Paris at your birthday. They were talking about, one of them was there. So it's like, even I knew when it was. Do you know what I mean?
Did you actually?
Didn't. Yeah. Like I remember them saying that they were going to Paris and they were just like arranging it. And it was like a spontaneous thing, really spontaneous. Like, oh, shall you come? Like, yeah. It's like, yeah. And then,
But spontaneity in my head is 6 weeks away.
Yeah. Oh,
Spontaneity is not like 7 to 10 days away.
That's like spontaneity for me.
Yeah, and it just absolutely threw me. So obviously I was so disappointed because I was so looking forward to like a weekend in Paris. But equally, it just shook me for a few days. I was like, how on earth have I fucked that up so much? Like,
maybe we should go to Paris then at the end of June.
At the end of June. Well, I've got a weekend booked out now because I thought I was going to Paris.
From Thursday to Sunday.
From Thursday to Sunday.
Oh, you poor thing though, because I bet,
so
especially when you're dealing with overwhelm and you're just like, oh.
No, it sent me over the edge. Like I had a tear in my eye.
Oh.
Like I was like, because I was really beating myself up about it as well. And this is like, Millie's such a great human being.
She's
but
gorgeous.
Just an amazing friend too, because she knows me so well. Like when it happened, I wrote in the group chat, well, I sent a voice note like, I am an idiot. Like I actually, there's no excuse for it. Like I have no idea how I added 2 and 2 and got like 87.5. Like that's literally where I got to. And so I was really beating myself up about it. And then I just caught myself being really savage to myself about it. Like really just saying all these horrible things about myself to myself. And then my head was running as if like they're going to think you're a shit friend. They're going to think you're unorganized. Like you've let them down. They're disappointed. You've ruined their weekend, blah, blah, blah. And then I just caught myself being horrible to myself. And I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I literally said out loud, I was like, Katie, stop.
Yeah.
Like you've made a mistake. Mistakes happen. You've got a lot on your plate. Like, whatever,
and it's a
fine.
great story,
and
the girls are thankful for that.
Well,
they're more thankful for the story than your company in Paris. Yeah, trust me. No, I'm joking.
But then Millie was like, "What a great fuck of the week!" It's literally one of the first things she said.
I love that from her. Oh, she's just a gorgeous, gorgeous person.
But she literally said after she said, "Oh, what a great fuck of the week," she then said, "Katie, stop, I know what you're doing, like stop beating yourself up about it now." And I just thought that's so funny because how does she know I'm beating myself up? She just knows because of what I'm like. So I was like, oh no, you're right, I have had a chat with myself. But yeah, it was.
And also we're all like, I don't know how old Millie and Naomi are, but like 30-year-old women. And it's like you're responsible for your own trip. And it's like, and they're there to have a good time. And it's like we feel these pressures. It's the same with like going to things and having to go. And it's like you've got to just accept that it doesn't matter if like, someone can't attend something. Yeah. Because you've got to just have a good time in yourself.
Oh yeah. And they're so like laid back and they're so like, they get it. They weren't angry, but it's just like where my head runs to the worst case scenario. But still, and a good fuck of the week
all
at
the
least.
Overwhelm contributes to good fucks.
100%.
My heart's hurting for you though, because I
had a tear like in my eye.
I know, and also you will have been like researching like French berets and like best baguettes in Paris, and it's just like,
I love Paris.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
at some other time once you've got over your PTSD. Exactly. Oh, bless you. Mine, this is a good one. I've actually got visuals to accompany it because if you're listening to it, it won't be as powerful. But what we've got into the habit of doing now, which is good, is sending the pictures to our editors and our social media girl. So you're in for a treat. Anyway, I have been doing a bit of presenting work recently, which is exciting. And this is something that I'm really trying to focus on because I really enjoy it. I feel like I've been doing it for years, really, but I've never like called myself a presenter, probably because of a bit of imposter syndrome, because it's like, but I really enjoy it. So I was doing this presenting for it's like a co-work building in Burnley.
Oh yeah, I saw this video.
Yeah, did you?
Yeah.
And I've done it before for them. I've done a few like little bits. This one's like quite a small like project, but I still love working with the team. Anyway, I was like excited for this presenting job. So they'd paid me. So, they wanted me to be on my A game, which is completely like normally I am on the A game. And I was on the A game, but this just goes to show again, overwhelm. I was rushing. So I go to the location, the landmark in Burnley. And I'm wearing a suit. Mm-hmm. And we do 2 hours of filming. It's a male crew, okay? So with the male crew comes in my mind, like if it was a woman on the crew, this wouldn't have happened because women's attention to detail when it comes to wardrobe malfunctions
Jesus Christ, where is this going?
Is much better than men's, I think. Maybe a bold statement, but I said what I said. So anyway, we've done 2 full hours of filming. I've obviously gone to the venue, been giving it, my pizzazz and all the sass. Anyway, we finished the filming. And I say, oh, just get a picture of me, will you, in front of the building? So they're like, yeah, fine. You know, man takes a picture, all good. I go back home and look at the pictures. I need to show you live.
Oh my God, I'm scared.
And seriously, so they've already filmed for 2 hours. There's nothing I can do about it. Please just scroll through these pictures here and tell me that that's acceptable as someone that you've paid to be a presenter. Basically, for context, listeners, I had worn a suit, I'd done up the buttons, and I'd done up the buttons completely wrong. Like you can't get away with like, everyone's like, oh, it looks asymmetrical.
No, I was just about to say. Yeah.
I look like I can't dress myself.
No, you probably could.
No, it's absolutely catastrophic. They've tagged me in the videos and I simply cannot repost because the buttons are completely done up wrong. What's it called? Like this, the hem
at the bottom.
The hem
is
of
like,
my suit.
You've got a good 4 inches there that's off centre,
I need to show. Yeah, we need to show Dylan after this, who is our editor today, because but you need to look at the pictures. Like it's just, I just don't understand how they've not told me that that's happened.
I really, really thought that you were going to say something like your pants had ripped or your tits are out or like you had like red knickers on that were like showing through the white dress or something like that.
It's still really not
definitely
great.
Could have been worse.
Yeah.
However, not ideal and you can't use those photos.
I can never use those photos, can I?
Wait, what about the video footage? Is it all wonky
I'm scared.
as well?
Yeah. Oh, it's completely wonky. They tagged me in it the other day and I was like, well, I can't repost that because I mean, how can I call myself a presenter when I can't even dress myself? So I don't think the presenting jobs are going to be coming in thick and fast. But I mean, who knows? But even like the close-ups, like how has he not said, honey, just so you know, your buttons have done it completely wrong?
Well, first of all, they probably didn't even notice because I know.
Because they're men.
Yeah, which
irritating.
Is probably true. But also, even if they did notice, I think women are a bit more like the sisterhood, like, I'll help you. Like, I would never, if somebody had something stuck in their teeth, I would never leave it. I would always tell them. If you have something on your face or if you have something like on you, like I would always say. Whereas I feel like I don't know if men would do that. I'm not sure if we're generalising completely here, but
maybe
it's like a sisterhood thing.
But
if you don't look right, then you should say.
Yeah, I hate the thought that they knew.
Did they know though?
No, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. I need to ask them.
Yeah.
And I hate the thought. It's like, who's this? Like, as she got dressed in the dark. Like, I turned up, like, quite like I was overwhelmed that week and just like, you know, a big ball of energy and then just like completely done up blazer like couldn't be done more wrong. So and I only realised when I got home and looked at the pictures, which is even worse.
Oh, you know what, in future though, you
look in the mirror.
Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
yeah. Look in the mirror or just do a little fit check on your phone if you get on the mirror and just check that you're all put together today.
I know. I'm wearing oh, your flies are down. No, I'm joking. So anyway, those are two good O fucks actually. Good. Two strong ones straight out of the box.
Yeah, strong start.
Yeah. So things that turning 30 taught us. So you go first. What has turning 30 taught you?
Turning 30 has taught me a lot of things. I actually feel like when I was thinking about what to say in this episode, there was just so many things, but I felt like a lot of them were quite obvious. Do you know, you hear a lot of people when they're turning 30 like, you finally don't care what people think about you. And it's like, we know that. Like that's just so I was really trying to think about things that
aren't the norm.
Aren't really things that you probably would have thought of. Really.
And I also think like a lot of these, it's not like we've like gone to bed 29, woke up as 30. It's like bing.
No,
I no longer care what people think.
Yeah.
It's like you've been doing the work for like, you know, a few years and then it's just amplified by the big 3-0 anyway.
I
feel like for you though, it must feel like quite a momentous decade because it's 30s. You've not had a drop of alcohol. Like, that's like a big turning point, which is exciting, I would say.
Yeah. It's I feel like my 20s were dedicated to drinking and sobriety. Yeah. Because I was first sober curious at 20 and then like closed your sober glow at 30 pretty much. So that was like a big completion thing for me. A big accomplishment is to run your sober glow. And so to close it felt like, end of a chapter, but in a really great way. Like I feel like free.
Yeah.
Going into my 30s. And also as part of like stopping drinking, there is so much healing and self-development that goes with that. And actually that was one of my points is that when you're going through hard things in your 20s, sometimes I think there's an unrealistic expectation to heal from things really quickly. So sometimes you can see like trends on social media and it's like like day one of breakup and then like people seem to be over it within like 30 days. And actually one of mine for turning 30 is that actually healing takes a really long time and sometimes it never ends. It's just like a process, and the things that happen to you in your life often that end up becoming a part of you. So every relationship you've ever had, every friendship you've ever had, any job you've ever had, like any person that's ever been in your life or something that you've done, all make the tapestry of your life. And I felt like when I was going into my 20s, I was like a blank canvas. I had nothing really bad happen to me at all. And then my 20s were just like, of like lesson after lesson after surprise, motherfucker. And it really, it was really quite confronting because my 20s were quite turbulent, to be honest. And I know maybe some people's are, some people aren't. But I'm actually really grateful that mine were because I feel like going into my 30s now, like what turning 30 taught me is that it's nothing is linear, things take time, so give yourself a break is essentially the like remove the pressure, because there is a lot of pressure in your 20s. I think when you go into your 30s you almost are like,
I think it's a softer life
era.
It's a soft era.
That's
what, like, it wasn't one of my points, but actually thinking about it now, it feels less of a rat race and more like you're finding your feet, like almost like you were learning to play the instrument in your 20s and in your 30s you've learned to play it and you're just bashing out the tunes. Like, that's my analogy. I feel like that's what it is for me. And I also think for me, I just feel almost relieved to be 30 because I feel genuinely like I have been 30 for ages because like my habits, like going to bed at 9 p.m, like reading, like wanting to better myself, like therapy, like I just feel like I have been 30. Like I was born to be 30. I should have come out the womb 30. Like I just love this age. You know, one of the points that I've written down in capitals, underlined, is JOMO as well. Like joy of missing out. Capitals Times New Roman size 100. Like to me, joy of missing out, like you just feel it more as well in your 30s. I felt it for ages in my 20s as well, but you just almost feel like, you know, I suffered from FOMO in early 20s where I'd be like, oh shit, like all my friends are going here, like going to a party, but I don't really want to drink, but I'm going to go anyway because I get FOMO. And now in the 30s, it's like, all my friends are going out drinking. I don't want a hangover. I don't want to drink. So actually, joy of missing out on that plan, but let's arrange to do a walk and a spa, maybe a glass of wine if we want to on the Sunday. You know, so that's a massive one for me. Falling in love with JOMO.
I think that's because when you turn 30, you become more self-assured and self-confident in your decisions. So you don't really, you know what you like. And so you don't mind missing out because actually the joy of missing out is that you didn't want to be there anyway.
Exactly.
So you're not bothered. So
it's a massive thing, FOMO. And I feel like a lot of people suffer with it more so than they would admit, and it drives a lot of decisions as to 100%. Why they go to things. And I just think there's just such a sense of peace in that JOMO and just knowing intrinsically what you like doing and what you don't like doing.
I think it's fairly tied up with people pleasing though as well.
100%.
Isn't it? So it's a bit of a toxic mix of like people pleasing and FOMO. So you just end up doing the thing that you don't want to do just because someone else wants you to do it, which is horrible.
I suspect it's worse as well. This is me just like speculating. But I actually think it's worse potentially with male groups because like a lot of male groups,
culture,
it's like lads, like you drink. And I feel sorry for people that maybe don't like to drink and they know that they don't like to drink, but they get like shit from the mates if you're not going out drinking. And if they're not making any other plans other than drinking. So that must be really tough, because it's like you feel like you're missing out, because if you don't see them in that capacity, you're not going to see them.
Yeah.
So it kind of forces you to do things that you don't want to do, but because there's no other options.
Yeah, I feel like obviously when I stopped drinking, I was 24 and I got FOMO, but I didn't get FOMO from a social point of view. I got FOMO because I felt like I was missing out on being quote unquote young.
Yeah.
Because there's such a narrative around drinking and being young and wild and free. When I stopped drinking, I thought, oh my God, I'm old. I'm literally 45.
What's the opposite of wild and chained? I'm old, tame, and chained.
So I really struggled with that. Basically, probably like from being 24 to probably like 28. For quite a bit of time. That was one of the themes that kept coming up for me, is like, it's this prescription of what society tells you should be doing. That's essentially what it is. 100%. So obviously at that age it's drinking, but maybe if there's women who want to be child free in your 30s, you feel like, oh, am I missing out on that experience? Because everyone's sort of society's telling me I need to do that thing. So there's loads of different categories that can slot into, but obviously for me at that time it was drinking. But actually JOMO all over again with the drinking, because obviously it was ruining my fucking life. So what is being young if you're literally depressed? Because that's what I was. So it's like, it's not fun at all.
It's not a flex.
No,
that's actually something that, if I'm really honest as well, I've been having a bit of a, just, you know how you said obviously you were worried about like being boring almost, or whatever. What word did you use? You said you felt old.
Sorry.
Like I've been not worrying, but it's been in my headspace recently, because I think that one of my points is like, you realize that there are different definitions of fun. And I just think my idea of fun is so far removed from the traditional quote unquote version of fun. But I started wondering recently whether like I am like boring. But then I think to myself, you're not fucking boring, love.
But
like,
it's so subjective.
It's subjective.
You're only boring if you're bored.
Exactly.
But when you're doing the things that you enjoy and you're not bored, you're not boring.
And my quote that I love to say, this is a Camilla original, is only boring people get bored. I always say that. But I don't know, it's just like I go to things and it's like, you know, there's drink and I'm just like, I don't enjoy this. Like, this is not my idea of fun. And like, I'm around people that they don't make me feel boring, but they're like almost in disbelief that they're like, listen, are you being sensible?
Yeah,
you know?
no, I completely understand. Although I've got the excuse of like, I'm a raging pisshead.
Yeah.
So if somebody said to me like, oh, why are you not drinking? Then I would just be like, well, because I'm basically an alcoholic. And then people just leave you alone.
Yeah.
Because they're like, whoa, alcoholic.
Yeah. I might have to steal that.
Exactly.
But
just drop the A-bomb.
But it's sad that we have to have an excuse as to, it's like my dad, he's not drank for like nearly 30 years. And he just always says, you know, when people are like, you know, why don't you drink? And he just thinks it's such a nosy question that he always just
thinking that's nosy. It is, to be fair. It's like, what's got to do with you?
Yeah, and he's literally like that. You know what I mean? He turns it around and he's like, what do you mean? Like, why do you drink?
Why do you care so much?
And he says, well, why do you drink alcohol?
Exactly. Great question.
Isn't it?
Great
and I'm like,
question.
yes, Neil, but I feel sorry for the person that asked, because I'm like, oh, sweet
I would
niblets.
not want to cross your dad.
No.
Yeah.
So, I've been battling with these feelings probably for on and off the last year. And that's why I've almost been welcoming 30. But I think it is difficult as well, because I have a younger boyfriend. Cougar. Because I have a younger boyfriend, he's more in that.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm
stage
just
of life.
not.
Yeah.
So it highlights sometimes, it is in my face that like my idea of fun is quite different to like, you know, 3 years ago version of me. And it can be challenging, but then I just think to myself, well, I do have fun when I go to, you know, like when there's like social events and we're all like having like a few drinks. I just don't like to get like absolutely MC hammered, because it just doesn't serve me or anyone around me.
Same.
Like seriously. But I do think as well, like people, instead of, and I actually don't think that they see it as a negative thing. I actually think they're quite admiring of it deep down.
Oh God,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, like fair play. It's, especially because I'm so set in it. Like I don't let any questions when they're saying to me, and I'm like, oh, you know, I'm just like a bit wishy-washy with it. I'm like, I don't really like to get drunk. I like to do this, this, and this, but I'm still like loud and like, you know, present.
Well, you don't need it. You don't need alcohol. Whereas a lot of people rely on alcohol to socialize because they don't have the inner confidence yet to be able to not have it. So you have that inner confidence, and you're such a extroverted person.
Yeah. Most of the time, people think I'm pissed anyway, or they just come out the blocks and they're like, you've definitely got ADHD, haven't you? Because I'm just like,
nice to meet you.
I'm just like, but I'm literally just like, I love social situations. Like, I love groups.
I remember at my 18th, my dad, because my dad's 35 years sober, so
Battle of the dads. I'm like, my dad's sober 30 years. You're like, my dad's 35.
Oh my God, yeah. How funny, yeah. I didn't even put those two things together. But basically at my 18th birthday, my dad was like, we turned the dining room into a dance floor, removed all the furniture and built a stage and hired a band. So we had like a massive house party basically for my 18th. And obviously everyone was smashed, including me. And my dad was on the dance floor, like took his shirt off, was like whipping it around everywhere, dripping with sweat. And like, I remember all these like people like from college and stuff that I invited were like, oh, we want what your dad's on. What's he on? And I was like, life.
Yeah, I love that.
Literally, he's never.
But that's like when we went to ABBA, obviously, for your birthday, ABBA Voyage, like we were all just like, I think I had like 1 or 2 drinks. And then I like really wanted a hot chocolate when we got back to the hotel. I was like, hot chocky, anyone? But we were just like on live, like just loving it.
Good, wasn't it?
And
oh my God, I have to tell this story about ABBA.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
So basically we went to see ABBA Voyage, which is the hologram. So if you don't know what a hologram is, by the way,
I didn't know that. That's the bit where I'm like,
a hologram is like, how would you describe it? It's kind of like a video. So basically what happens is the real people put sensors all over their body, do the show once, and then they rinse and repeat it electronically. Wow, that was a really good explanation.
That was really good.
Wow.
Why did you not explain that to me before?
I thought you knew.
No.
So obviously we're all there dancing away and it's like, wow. And it is breathtaking. It is
amazing.
Like, wow, it's so clever how they do it. And then about halfway through, Camilla like leans into me. She's like, God, I can't believe how amazing these people are. Like, this is just amazing. And I went, people? And she's like, just doing such a great job. Like, it's just so amazing, aren't they? And I was like, it's a hologram. And she's like, wait, what? They're not. What? No, that's them. And I said, that's not ABBA. I said, first of all, that's them from like 30 years ago. So they don't even look like that now. And she was like, no, I know they're not ABBA, obviously, but they're
it's
like,
a tribute.
It's a tribute. And I was like, it's not a tribute. It's a hologram. She couldn't get her head around it.
Flabbergasted. You ruined it.
Your head was melted.
Yeah.
And you were just in silence for a minute, just trying to like process it.
But it was James that ruined it because he said, can you believe we've paid £100 to watch a screen? And I was like, what do you mean Scrooge?
That's
number
such
one.
a James thing to say.
And then number 2, I was like, what do you mean a screen? I was like, this is an ABBA tribute band. And I was like, what? And then when Katie said it to me, I thought, actually, they've not really engaged with the audience very much. Do you know what I mean? They weren't like, come on up, birthday girl. Do you know what I mean? I thought, yeah, they're like, they've not really broken the audience barrier, but it did ruin it because I was literally, up until that point, I was thinking we were getting a live performance and you're telling me we may as well be home watching a DVD of ABBA performing. I was like, partial refund, please. Literally.
Oh my God.
I was just like this.
It was so funny. And then we were pissing ourselves because the 2 women, obviously in ABBA, one's blonde, one's brunette. Yeah. So we were like, oh my God, it's me and you on the podcast. And then it was really funny because one of the other guys in ABBA looks a bit like Calvin, don't you think, Dylan?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were pissing ourselves because he was on the piano. We were like, oh my God, that's Calvin producing the podcast on the side. And we were like, la, 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 in the middle. It was so funny. So we need to tell Calvin that actually.
Yeah, we do.
We do. We're yet to see him.
Yeah, that was funny because I was just like, oh. But everyone knew that it was a hologram apart from me. And I felt like everyone was like playing a prank on me. And I literally just was like really confused for the rest of the performance. Couldn't really concentrate. And I was just like, why does everyone know this? But I don't. But I've not really seen any TikToks. Because you're not allowed
to film in there. So, they were on it with that as well, weren't they? Like you get your phone out, they literally dive over to you and tell you to turn your phone off.
But how does everyone know this secret? Like,
it's not a secret, babe. That's what hologram means. It's
but
not a
did they
secret.
market that on the tickets? I didn't book the tickets, to be fair. So yeah, always read the small print, my friends.
You need to write a strongly worded email.
I do.
feel like
it was
you want your
amazing
money
though,
back.
but you ruined it because I thought it was a live thing. But never mind.
By the way, this episode was called
Things
that I nearly said
our
30 again.
30s taught us.
And we're literally just shooting the crack, like we're just catching up and having a coffee.
But
have we shared any value?
Yeah,
I don't know.
a little bit. A
feel
very
like-
small sprinkle of salt.
Yeah.
Me basically saying, Jomo, you said, can't remember what you said.
I just was chatting shit about ABBA and missing the Paris trip. I've added no value in this episode
You have,
whatsoever,
you
to
have.
be honest. I do just really want to say something though, that is quite valuable.
Go on.
So
Please do.
one of mine was that, and this is a real shift in gear now, but success is personal.
Love that.
And the reason I wanted to say about this is because I spent the whole of my 20s like driving after this idea of success in my mind, that when I actually got to 30 last month, I kind of realised, yes, I am successful in those forms, those metrics that I'd, written down on my vision board at 24 when I stopped drinking. But actually, I am so successful in so many other ways that I never wrote down in my early 20s. Like, I'm so successful because all of my friendships, I've got an amazing relationship. Like, I've got an amazing relationship with my family, myself.
Yeah.
Like, all these things that, like, all that healing that I needed to do over my 20s, I did not have that as a metric of success. But actually, I wouldn't have the things that I have in sort of the more societal markers of success. I wouldn't have those things had I not done the work on myself.
Yeah.
So I think it's all very married up together. But I think it's important, if you are thinking you're putting this pressure on yourself to be successful, actually explore what success looks like to you.
Because in terms of like society's timelines of successful, me and you are very unsuccessful in that, that we're not married, we don't have any kids.
See, that's so funny because they're not even in my mind.
But obviously that's what society is.
Yeah.
In my, like, that is not a measure of success for me.
Of course.
But by the traditional metrics, we are the most unsuccessful.
Failures.
Yeah, we're complete flops.
Yeah.
Flops is a very good word. Yeah, like, seriously, like, have you ever met two more loserish 30-year-olds? No kids, no house,
no husband.
No husband. Like, literally, barren spinsters. Well, no, because we've got boyfriends.
Oh, yeah.
But that, like,
we're not wives though, are we?
We're not wives.
No.
We're wifeys, but we're not wives yet, pending. But yeah.
So true. So figure it out yourself. And I think the
that.
way to do that, and this ties into one that we were talking about before about value, like, figure out what your values are first, and then you can work out what success is off the back of what your values are. And actually a really good thing, it's just come into my mind about how to figure out what you value. I do this with life coaching clients, so please take this away with you. If you list 3 of the worst things you've ever done and 3 of the best things that you've ever done, and think about why it's the worst thing you've ever done and why it's the best thing you've ever done, they are your values. So, for example, stopping drinking is the best thing I've ever done.
Yes.
And it's because it allowed me to be myself. And I value authenticity.
Yes.
I can't stand people that are fake. And I can actually see it a mile off. And that's why all my friends are really authentic to themselves, and why I am as well. And probably one of the worst things I've ever done is like being unfaithful, like cheating. Like when I was drinking.
Yeah.
I have been unfaithful in the past.
Yeah.
And I just think
it's very honest.
That's why that is one of the worst things I've ever done, because I value loyalty so much, and it really cut my value. At the time, I was so like late teens, early 20s, like in a blackout every weekend. So obviously and there's a lot of shame tied up with that because it was to do with my drinking and guilt, and like I already hated myself enough. So to then go and do something that really undercut my value. And at the time, obviously, yes, cheating is bad, but I didn't understand why it cut me so deep.
Because it just wasn't aligned with your values.
Because it was so unaligned with my values. And now, like in my 20s, when people haven't been loyal to me, I feel it so deeply, and it actually takes me a while to recover. Like if somebody's been dishonest or not loyal to me, it really rocks me. And so that's how I know, like, obviously I've got more values than just those two, but those two are like real big ones for me. And so I measure my success against my values. How authentic am I being? How loyal am I being? And loyal to myself as well, not only just like loyal to other people, like do what works for you and stuff.
100%.
So,
and I also think as well, like your 30s are for forgiveness, like forgiving people.
I love that.
Yeah. I feel like that actually has just come to my head right now.
Love it.
I didn't prep that.
Very authentic.
Yes, love that. That's why we're friends. Forgiveness, forgiving yourself the mistakes you made. Like obviously in your case, the unfaithful piece. And like, you know, being someone that was just maybe not aligned with your values, or you know, you're figuring it out in your 20s, and like there's no handbook, there's no blueprint, like you're just kind of bumbling away through, like learning as you go, which is the best way to learn, but it comes with mistakes. And I have made so many mistakes in my 20s, and I almost feel like 30, it's turned the page, it's a new decade, and it feels fresh. It feels like an opportunity to take off that heavy wet coat of like, you know, beating yourself up. Forgiving people. Forgiving other people. And I literally am in a place where, you know, I wouldn't wish anything bad on anyone, and it feels very freeing because yes, I've been hurt by people, but I just feel like, you know, I don't give it the time that I used to give it because I've forgiven. Yeah,
I genuinely feel like obviously there will be more work to be done in the 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, but I genuinely feel healed. I feel like I've done all the hard things in my 20s and I've forgiven everyone from my 20s. Like my favorite quote is, it's everyone else's first time too. And like whether that's your family or friends or ex-partners or whatever, like everyone's just figuring it out at the same time. Nobody knows what they're doing, and everyone tries the best that they can with the tools that they have. Like nobody wakes up one day and goes, I'm going to be the worst version of myself today. Like everyone is trying their best. It's just that at the time it might not be ideal, but you are trying your best.
I love that quote, and it's sorry to bring it like to Norris, but like when Norris is being naughty and like and like I shout at him, or like I hear someone else shout at him, I just try and remind myself, I'm like, oh, it's his first time on this earth as well. If he's done a poo in the house, so what? He's learning on the job. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
But it's so cute. It's everyone's first time.
It's so true. Like it makes me emotional to think about my mum and dad. Like to think like it's their first time too. They've never been parents, parenting a person at that age, each chapter of your life. Like they're navigating it too. So I think it is a big thing to forgive yourself and to forgive other people. And I actually remember once my therapist said to me, the reason why, because I went through a stage in my 20s of giving everyone a really, really hard time. Like I was very cutthroat, and I was speaking to her about it. It's because I was in that time period of like self-preservation. So if it didn't suit me, it was gone. And actually that's really savage. And even though that's beneficial in some cases, she said to me, the reason why you're like that is because you're like that with yourself. You hold yourself to such high standards that you don't even allow yourself to make a mistake. So God forbid someone in your life makes a mistake.
This is exactly what Tony, my therapist, said to me. We've had the exact same.
Therapy.
We should just do like a 4 because then actually we would save money and just have a little cohort because they give the same advice.
Literally.
So I love that, and that's the exact same as what Tony said to me. I am so cutthroat because I'm that with myself, and I don't take any shit from myself.
Like so you don't take it from other people.
Exactly. Like I made a mistake recently, and I was beating myself up so much for ages, like, and I was being absolutely cutthroat, and I was like writing in my journal, I was like, you need to like do some more work on yourself, like and then I was like, oh my gosh, like it's like one thing.
God, how much more work could you do, Mills?
I
mean, Christ alive.
I know, it was it was
well, look at me with the Paris thing. I was like, you're an idiot.
Exactly.
It's like, whoa, actually. But I think everybody runs with the negative self-talk, and it is a skill to be able to pull it back. So it's not, don't measure your progress on like, oh, I lost it then, or like I spoke negatively to myself. It's about the bounce back. Like how quickly can you pull it back? So when I was really like beating myself up about the Paris thing, it was honestly 30 seconds of being like horrendous. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, stop that. Like show compassion to yourself. You made a mistake. So I was like, actually, that's good. That's progress for me. Because otherwise that would have, in the past, I'd have like beaten myself up about that for like months. Like, you know, and now it's literally minutes.
And also, big thing that I live my life by. Same with like, you know, my mistake recently. I just knew I was being mean to myself, but I knew in my core I will not make the same mistake twice. That was a little bit of a roller coaster episode, guys. It does remind me of episode 1, which was titled quite aptly, A Bit of Fucking Everything. And that felt like a bit of fucking everything. But hopefully
we've taught you something as well along the way about your 30s.
Yeah. So just remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And remember, if 30 doesn't look how you thought it was going to look, you are going to be fine.
Bye.
Bye.